In 1970, you could buy a car that ran the quarter mile faster than most cars sold today, for about $4,000. Today, that same car sells for over $400,000. That's a 100x return, and it happened without a single stock split. These are the 10 fastest muscle cars of the early 1970s. What they cost new, what they run today, and why some of them are now worth more than a house. Torino Cobra with the 429 Super Cobra jet engine. In 1970, Ford's Torino was a wide-ranging lineup, from the mild GT all the way up to the Cobra, its most serious performer. Under the hood of the Cobra sat a 429 cubic inch 385 series big block V8, offered in 3 states of tune: 360 horsepower in Thunderjet guise, 360 horsepower as a Cobra jet, and 375 horsepower if you checked the drag pack option and went for the Super Cobra jet. That Super Cobra jet setup, paired with a 4-speed manual and 3.91 gears, is what made the difference at the strip. How quick could it whisk you down the drag strip? Period testers clocked it at 13.99 seconds at 101 miles per hour on street tires, right from the factory. In 1970, this Torino Cobra would have set you back about $3,270. Today, it would require about $105,000 to put one in your hands. In 1971, the boss name meant there was something special under the hood, and it belonged to the Mustang boss. 351 under the hood lurked a heavily modified 351 cubic inch Cleveland V8, fitted with high-flowing 4-valve heads and an 11.7 to 1 compression ratio, aluminum pistons, and forged rods. This Boss 351 put out 330 horsepower and 370 lb-ft of torque, and an Autolite 4300D carburetor was built specifically for the car. The one-year-only Boss 351 came with a 4-speed Hurst manual, traction lock 3.91 gears, and Ford's competition suspension. It was quick too, earning the number 9 position on our list. The quarter mile would flash by in 13.8 seconds. When new, this car cost around $4,124 in 1971. Right now you could scoop one up for about $81,000. Another West Coast icon lands on our list at number 8. The 1971 Chevrolet Corvette LS6. It's the final chapter of the big block Corvette story, arriving as the last hurrah before emissions regulations closed the book on the true muscle era. 454, the LS6 code got you the 454 cubic inch V8 with race-strengthened internal components and a bump in horsepower to 425, up from the 365 ponies of the standard LS 454. Its coup de grace was an aluminum cylinder head setup borrowed from the discontinued race-only L88, shedding weight over the front wheels for sharper handling than the old iron-headed big blocks. When the go pedal was mashed, the LS6 solid lifter cam and Holley 4-barrel woke up, and all of it added up to serious straight-line thrust. The quarter mile arrived in 13.72 seconds at a velocity of just over 102 miles per hour. $6,717 out the door was what it would cost in 1971. $5,496 for the base coupe plus $1,221 for the LS6 option alone. Today it goes for around $110,000. Of course, a Dodge Challenger had to show up on our list, and some would argue the R/T is the purest expression of the Chrysler pony car format. This is the Challenger R/T 446 pack, a street-legal version of Dodge's big block muscle that featured a 440 cubic inch V8 with 3 2-barrel carburetors and a 10.5 to 1 compression ratio. It was factory rated at 390 horsepower and a monstrous 490 lb-ft of torque, about 35 horsepower less than the legendary 426 Hemi. But many enthusiasts found the 6-pack to be the more street-friendly of the two, and a lot easier to come by. It blasted through the quarter mile in 13.62 seconds at 104 miles per hour. The R/T hardtop started at $3,266, and the 6-pack engine option added roughly $250 to that, putting a modestly equipped car at around $3,600 out the door in 1970. These are seriously sought after today and would require around $100,000 to put one in your hands. The next one on our list at number 6 was a NASCAR-inspired Chrysler B-Body, the 1970 Plymouth Superbird, created to convince Richard Petty to return to the Plymouth team after a stint with Ford. Only around 1,920 were built, making it a rare bird indeed. Built off the Roadrunner, it differed from the standard car with a long sloped nose cone and an unmistakable rear wing standing a towering 23 inches high, taking clear inspiration from the Dodge Charger Daytona that debuted the year before. In doing so, it aimed for aerodynamic superiority over the standard Roadrunner body to make it more competitive on high-speed oval tracks like Daytona and Talladega. Though period tests actually showed the plain Roadrunner was a touch quicker in the quarter mile, with the Superbird's aero advantage only showing up at higher speeds. It was still quick on the drag strip, requiring only 13.5 seconds to burn down the quarter mile. If you were lucky enough to pick one up when it was new, it would cost you $4,298 in 1970. You can still get one today, but it will leave a hole in your wallet where around $150,000 used to reside. Buick Stage 1 package quietly turned the GS 455 into the quickest American production car of 1970, and it earns the number 5 spot on our list without needing flashy stripes or a race bred name to back it up. The Stage 1 upgrades added higher flowing heads, an aggressive camshaft, a special 4-barrel carburetor, and a positive traction rear axle on top of the standard GS 455, officially rated at 360 horsepower and 510 lb-ft of torque. It was almost certainly underrated by the factory, Period magazine. Testers came away convinced the real number was closer to 400 horsepower. It could still conquer the quarter mile in 13.38 seconds at 105 miles per hour and ripped from 0 to 60 in just 6 seconds flat, all while riding on a suspension tuned more for comfort than combat. Originally costing around $3,482 when new, this is one of the most underrated muscle cars on the market today, and at auction it goes for about $55,000. At number 4, the 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner with the fabled 426. Hemi rounds out the Chrysler entries on this list. Under the air grabber hood sat the same 426 cubic inch street Hemi that powered the Cuda and Challenger, but wrapped in the Roadrunner's stripped-down, no-nonsense body. Proof that the fastest package on the lot didn't need chrome or luxury trim to back it up. Take rate on the Hemi option had been sliding since its 1968 debut as insurance premiums climbed, making it a rare bird even by 1970. True to its namesake, the Roadrunner sprinted through the quarter mile in 13.34 seconds at 107.5 miles per hour. The Hemi Roadrunner would have cost about $3,730 in 1970 when new, with the Hemi engine option alone contributing a hefty $831 to the total. They come up at auction every so often, with about $150,000 needed to park one in your garage. At number 3, the 1970 Chevelle SS 454 occupies an esteemed presence on our list. Today it stands as a symbol of the golden age of American muscle, a reputation earned the hard way with brutal straight-line speed. Under the hood of the top LS6 version sat a beast of an engine, officially rated at 450 horsepower and 500 lb-ft of torque, making for some of the quickest runs of its era. It wasn't just about raw numbers, though. Big block power, aggressive styling, and that unmistakable growl from the exhaust made the Chevelle SS a dream car for gearheads everywhere. It could put plenty of other muscle cars to shame back in the day, devouring the quarter mile in 13.12 seconds at 107 miles per hour in Period magazine testing. When new, the LS6 engine choice for the Chevelle would set you back around $3,566 for the whole car base price plus the mandatory SS package and the LS6 option itself. Nowadays, these celebrated muscle machines go for around $150,000. Another Dodge on our list coming in at number 2 was the 1970 Challenger R/T with the 426 Hemi engine. If you're chasing one of the purest examples of old-school Hemi-powered muscle, It's hard to top this car. While the iconic Hemi Cuda gets most of the spotlight, the Hemi Challengers are actually the rarer find. Dodge cranked out 14,889 Challenger R/T hardtops that year, but only a small fraction came straight from the factory with the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi under the hood. It could definitely expedite one's trip down the quarter mile, crossing the trap in 13.1 seconds at 107 miles per hour with a 4-speed, manual, and aggressive gearing. Not many people ordered these in 1970, as the Hemi engine option added a hefty premium over the standard R/T. When new, the Hemi Challenger cost around $4,045, with that Hemi surcharge making up the bulk of the total. It's another example of a rare beast that's been escalating in value over the years, where they're now going for around $250,000. At number 1 is our final Plymouth on the list, the 1970 Hemi Cuda, a car that's as iconic as it is powerful. It's built around the mighty 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, cranking out a factory-rated 425 horsepower and a massive 490 lb-ft of torque. That was more than enough to rocket the Cuda from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. Not bad at all for a street legal car on factory tires back in 1970. But the Hemi Cuda wasn't just about raw power. It had the looks to match, with a wide, aggressive stance, razor-sharp body lines, a deep, menacing front grille, a dual-scooped hood, and a blacked-out tail panel. It takes the number 1 spot here because it was the quickest of them all, with the quarter mile taking only 13.1 seconds at 107 miles per hour. Straight from the factory, only 652 hardtops were built for 1970, and it cost around $4,035 when new. Pick one up at auction these days, and it will set you back about $400,000.